Winston, and of course, Felix here, other way around. And it is a day that we need to talk about because, well, the markets are tanking because Israel has hit Iran. I'm sure you know that by now. This isn't exactly news, but what might be news to you is what do we do about it? How do we actually make money out of this? And how do we protect our money? And how do we avoid doing stupid stuff that we do when we get panicked, right? We've all been there. I've been there. You've been there. Winston's been there. Winston chasing, for example, porcupines, not his smartest moments, but we can learn from them. So let me share my screen with you here. And if you would find it useful to understand what the heck's going on out here and what we can learn from previous wars and everything else. And first of all, I'm not a war expert. I know everyone on social media today is. I am not. I'm only going to cover to the extent that it impacts my and your portfolio. We know that Israel has hit a load of stuff in Iran, rather, military bases, uranium enrichment facilities. They apparently taken out much of the scientific leadership, 6 scientists there, as well as a bunch of generals. Okay, so that's kind of sort of everything we need to know on that front. What makes this into a bigger deal potentially is this war going to get bigger with the US involvement? Now, Trump was sort of saying yesterday, oh, I don't know anything about it, that kind of thing. Oh, no, I don't want him to attack Iran and all that. Of course he knew. And that was just posturing, probably so that those guys wouldn't go, into a rabbit hole. But he says, I gave Iran 60 days ultimatum to make a deal. Today is day 61. But they just couldn't get there. That was his first tweet. And then the second one's this one here. And this is actually important because it gives you an idea of like how big a deal this could get or not. And he says, I gave Iran a chance, but no matter how hard they tried, no matter how close they got, they just couldn't get it done. The US makes the best and most lethal military equipment anywhere in the world, which is what Israel, of course, is using. Israel has a lot of it, much more to come, and they know how to use it. Certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They're all dead now. It's a lovely sentiment in how you negotiate, isn't it? But yeah, so basically he says Iran must make a deal before there's nothing left. Safer was once known as the Iranian Empire. Just do it. Now, knowing the Iranians not particularly well, I imagine they're not going to go, yeah, I think you're right. I think the reasonable thing to do is to come to negotiating table because you've just killed a bunch of our people. I think that's quite how it works. However, the response so far has been 100 drones fired in the direction of Israel. Apparently none of them made it. And that's a sort of soft reaction they did when we had the whole Hezbollah thing panning out last summer, right? So we want to draw some parallels from those things. And we want to look at how do we make money from this? Because pre-market doesn't look too great unless you're in energy stocks. Of course, we're in some energy stocks. Why? Because energy is one of the sectors that's been looking very good. So we're in things like EXE, for example, which is popping this morning. But we're also in a lot of defensive stocks, and I'll walk you through some of these in a moment, which are all gapping up. And this isn't me in hindsight going, of course, someone's going to accuse me of that. Or you got lucky. No, it was a very, very, very clear indication that one should be in defensive stocks the last 2 weeks. Gold stocks also popping. And of course, oil prices are popping. So we need to look at all of those things to figure out how to make money, where to make money. But first of all, let me give you a little bit of historical perspective, because I think this often helps. Anybody feeling a little bit kind of worried about their portfolio? If you're feeling worried about your portfolio, put a 1 in the chat. Let's get a little bit of a reading of the room here. So if you're worried about your portfolio, have a look at some of the bigger wars. And I'm not even looking at the little wars here. I'm looking at the bigger ones. So Vietnam War, right? Market recovered. Gulf War, this is 1991. Bush number 1. You had that little dip there and it recovered. Afghanistan War, it recovered. Okay, recession followed in the US and so on, but that wasn't really the fault of the war. Iraq War, I don't know how many there were, but there were a lot. This is the last Iraq War, 2003. Got that dip, made money out of that. Crimean crisis, 2014. That's when the Ukraine war really started, right? Markets recovered since that. So generally speaking, what I would think about is, and this is for you kind of long-term investors, you guys who own an index fund, you own SPY, you know, VU, you know, all that kind of stuff. The questions I would ask myself: is our children learning? Is the US economy still there? Right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? Right? I think we all agree it's still there. So are the earnings of companies like, say, Microsoft or Apple or Nvidia, the big guys out there in the index, are they affected? Right? Is there less demand for AI, less demand for cloud computing, or any of that stuff? No, right? It doesn't get affected. So therefore, why on earth would you sell an index fund today? That would be my thought, right? Your conclusion always could be another one, but I don't understand it because it's going to go back up. Now, there could be certain stocks that hit your stops if you're a bit more of an active investor, a bit more of you buy individual stocks or you're even trading, and I wouldn't touch the stops. I'd still have your stops where your stops are because the rules don't change just because someone started a war. Same rules apply. But I would look for things that have pulled back that make no sense. And maybe for those pullbacks, we can buy some more because we also do that, right? Big banks, the whole thing is still there. Nothing has really changed. But I want to give you one better for you. And that is, we're running tomorrow a live breakout seminar. We're literally going to teach you, me and Winston. You'll be there, Winston. Winston will be there. For about an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm going to teach you how to find breakout stocks. And this today is going to create a big, beautiful opportunity. And we might recover some of the drops by the end of the day. It's possible. Still be a big, beautiful opportunity to find some breakouts. Because when you get these erratic moves, you actually get some really easy low-hanging fruit. But you got to know how to find them. You got to know where the rules are. And you got to know the most important thing is, well, first of all, when do you buy them? But most importantly, when to sell. And that's what everybody's thinking about today, right? When do I sell? Now, we like to sell for profits, but we also sell for small losses because that's how we actually make some real money. So I'll teach you those rules that Wall Street has been using for like 50 years, 100 years tomorrow. If you come and join me, felixprehn.com/seminar. There's a link down below as well. Winston looks like he had a bath. Winston did not have a bath. Winston just took me out into the rain and is probably one of the filthiest beings out here, but he enjoys nothing like rain. He literally, the guy will wake me up sometimes at 3 in the morning and come into our bedroom and he'll just shake his head and make some like funny little sounds. He's very polite. He would never bark. And he's just like, and I look at him like, what's the matter? And he's like, it's raining. Let's go outside. It's exciting. Because we get these big tropical downpours here and he loves those. So we were just in one of those. So he's very content. Him and the pigs, basically, they're very, very content. So if you gapped past the stop pre-market, yeah, you still get stopped out. It's just how risk management works, my friend. Once you start creating the but this time is different scenario, your risk management is down the toilet. Because you will every single time you get a red number go, but this time is different. Now I wanted to show you this smart chart, but it's a bit fuzzy, isn't it? What that's telling you is that oil CTAs, what the heck are CTAs? So CTAs are algo funds, computers basically. And they invest in oil, one of the things that they do, and they are 100% short oil. Oh, the poor buggers, right? So oil prices are going absolutely bonkers this morning. US oil is up a fair bit. But again, I wanted to show you 1990 Gulf War, 2003 Iraq invasion, right? That was a bit of a longer rally up in oil, but typically your sort of average small kind of a war doesn't really have much of an impact. But yeah, those guys are going to get clobbered today because US oil is up 20% on the week. Is that the month? That's the month. Let's have a look on the day. Well, they are also up. These are futures that they trade earlier, right? They're up 6% so far. Squeezing, short squeezing. That's what's going on there. The guys have to sell. And Oliver, Archer dropped. Yeah, I also saw that. I also have no idea why Archer dropped, to be honest with you. I don't question it. I don't care. It happens all the time. I get stopped out of probably 5 positions a week, maybe more. And I never check why. I just don't care, because the system means having only small losses. And that's the beauty of the system. It means we don't have to worry about it. We have to think about it, because our gains easily pay for all the small losses that we collect. Now, some of the bigger winners that and these are just stocks that I've been recommending to you guys in the coaching community for the last 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe even. How long have we been buying defensives for? Probably since mid-May or so, right? NOC, Northrop Grumman, is up bigly this morning here. And you can see that gap up here, right? That's actually not particularly extended from where we have been. So I don't think that's like super late to the party. L3 Harris is finally getting some coming out of that sideways action there, which is nice to see. That's LHX is the ticker symbol there. That's looking pretty sweet here this morning. RTX, another one that is also off the chart, gapping up here very nicely from yesterday, 141 to 143. And that takes us above the previous highs, so party time. Also, gold stocks, and we have a bunch of gold stocks, but Groyus is one of them I've mentioned a few times here on the channel, so you guys might be familiar with that one. And that's also gapping up this morning. Why? It's just one of those safe havens. People flee into gold when anything bad happens. Another thing people flee into is safe stocks. And I think that might be one of the reasons that Apple is actually up this morning. I don't know why this is a safe stock. It must just be sort of people thinking that it is. I don't think it is particularly, but that's actually moving up a little bit today. The only, I think, Mag 7 that's actually green today. But there are loads of defense stocks. I mean, sort of in the electronic space and stuff. There are literally dozens of these. Here is one that we've been bullish on for a while. MRCY had a little nice pullback there. Now it's recovering. So again, this is one that we probably are not too late on. And oil stocks as well. And they are the usual suspects, your Exxon and, that kind of stuff. And those are clearly doing well here this morning. Some up 3%, CVX and so on. Again, they're huge stocks. So we tend to prefer some of the smaller friends from time to time because they potentially make us more money. And this one really did. It popped yesterday. It's popping here this morning. And Oracle. Yes, one of those warmongers. No, nothing to do with that. Oracle, just brilliant numbers. So really popping out here above absolutely every bit of resistance there ever was. Absolutely fantastique, as they say in France. The one tech stock that is bleeding is Adobe. And gapping down here today. Not a pretty picture. Still a falling knife. Remember when that thing was trading at $630? Right? Wouldn't it have been nice to sell it at $560? We're now at $394. From the exit point, from an investor point of view, we're now 30% down. And I think Adobe is becoming less relevant. There's a lot of competition out there who's doing what they're doing, but easier. So I got to stop buying airlines. Yeah, I try never to buy airlines, to be honest with you. It's one of those things. Archer shared selling. Oh, they raised some money, did they? Okay. 2 days ago, you got it completely wrong, so Stephen. Stephen, I get things completely wrong all the time. The question is, do I still make money? And the answer to that is a definite yes. So it isn't about being right. If you want to be right, I don't know, philosophy or something might be better suited. But ultimately, all we need to do is not be horribly wrong. And we still make money, because all we got to do is just follow the same bloody patterns that the market's been throwing at us for absolute ages. So look at this thing here, right? So you started off with Adobe did nothing, right? And then Adobe gave the all clear and it did a tremendous rally, right? And then what did Adobe do next? It sort of did nothing here at the top, right? And then what did Adobe do next? Adobe became naughty and Adobe started to fall, and it's never really properly recovered from that. Well, it did a little buy spurt here, and then again, it exhausted itself, and then it went down again. If you just follow that, and some of you might think, oh, in hindsight, it's easy to do. We don't do it in hindsight. We do it live every single week. I share every stock that I'm bullish on and absolutely everything that I buy every single week before I buy it with all of my students. So thousands of you actually get to see it. And from what you guys are telling me, you're liking it, right? You're making money, I'm making money, everyone's making money because we just have rules. Why is Boeing going down? Well, they did lose a plane yesterday in India, and there are rumors and concerns out there that it might be a plane defect. Of course, that could still be maintenance, it could be a wrong setting, could be all sorts of stuff, but that's not brilliant. So that's kind of what's happening there. I think my stop's at around at 198, so I'm still in it. Who knows? We'll see. And I'm not going to change it just because there's a war or because a plane fell out of the sky, because those are just things we have to live with, unfortunately. What would I buy today? I would just go through the defense tickers. I would go through the gold tickers. I would go through those, yeah. I would also look through the quality stocks that you like. I mean, just all the stuff that you like, and just look for stuff that looks as happy and relaxed as this guy. Just stuff that's pulling back for no particular reason, right? Just, the economy is still there. Nothing's really bad's going to happen here. I mean, SoFi, that was actually a breakout there, wasn't it? Pulling back here this morning, gapping down. It's not the strongest breakout, so maybe that isn't a great example, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense for good stocks to be dropping on this, right? So that's kind of what I would do. And maybe for you, that's Microsoft, which is down somewhat this morning. And you can pick up some bargains. That's what I would do. So I would do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, which is selling in a day like this. The plane was 11 years old. What's the state of affairs at AMD? Somebody's asking. Well, it's also dropping a little bit here. Not the most convincing of breakouts so far, is it? But who knows? Who knows? Do you just sell volatile stocks today and buy them next week? I never sell anything, like actively. I never go into my portfolio and click the sell button. It just doesn't happen because there's always a stop. So the stop takes care of my selling, and therefore I have to do. I'm doing nothing today, absolutely bugger all, because we're all set up for everything. Like everything was set up on Sunday, last Sunday, or Monday morning perhaps, before this war started, and nothing has actually changed. So follow strategy, follow your rules, because we were already bullish on defense stocks and aerospace. We were already bullish on, semiconductors, and those were really the only two sectors we were heavily going into. So I'm happy. That's really it. War is miserable, but we're making money, which is better than not making money, right? Stop means you get paid. Exactly, says Jake Garlic. That's a good one there. VIX is popping up a little bit, and again, you'd expect that because it's a war. At 20, it's not massive, but yeah, it's a 30% move up. So let's see where that is by the end of the day. If it stays a little higher, then expect a bit more, And I think the weekend is going to tell us a lot, because the war is going to continue all weekend. And then by Monday, we'll know a little bit more. Is this going to escalate? Like, is Iran going to attack the US fleet? There's a fifth fleet, I think, in the Gulf. Or are they going to strike, Saudi oil installations or something really mad, that kind of thing. And then it becomes a bigger conflict. Now, personally, from the reaction so far, and I'm not saying that I know what's going on in the mind of the Ayatollah, generally speaking, I find it hard to deal with people who say that they are supreme in anything. So the supreme leaders I struggle with, but the supreme leader of Iran, I don't know what's going on in his mind, but so far, they've only sent 100 drones in the direction of Israel, which they knew Israel could take out of the sky because they've done that before. So far, they haven't done anything crazy, which could mean that they don't know, they're not able to, or it could mean that they're thinking, well, this is bad, but let's not make this worse. Or they're preparing to do something really nutty. We just don't know, right? The worst case scenario really is, of course, it's a regional conflict. Short of that would just be a complete disruption to all shipping again through the Red Sea, which would, take a journey that takes 10 days becomes 33 days or something like that. So it causes inflation, basically. Oil prices would stay up for longer. If we can't load oil in the Gulf because it's not safe, because Iran's attacking, oil vessels, that sort of thing, that would take it to another level. But Hopefully, we're not going to go there, but we'll see. I'm not a war expert, and I think that's something to bear in mind today. With everything you're going to consume on social media, everybody is going to be a war expert, right? I'm not. I don't pretend to be. But yeah, DRS, Leonardo, we've been in this one for a little while, right? So we bought it down here at 38, well before this particular conflict started, and it's popping up nicely, which is good. So we are up. How much are we up by? We're off the chart. That's how much we're up by. And so honestly, all I want to encourage you to do today, we're up 20% on this, is just learn how to spot it here. Because it's really, really, really very simple. And I'll teach you on Saturday if you join me. And then you too would be up 20% rather than trying to figure out, what do I buy on the latest bit of news? Generally speaking, probably not the smartest thing to do. So come and learn the rules. And then by the end of the weekend, then we'll have marinated a little bit. You'll be a lot. Well, you'll have direction, right? Somebody will have actually told you which way to go. And this whole like, oh, I need to make money out of this thing today. It's like, yeah, you can if you want to, but I wouldn't bother because we can make money every week with or without a war. It's not the biggest thing in the world to ever happen, right? Now, there are occasionally these things where, remember when Fukushima happened, the Japanese, thing, and the Japanese stock market dropped 30%. Okay, that's an opportunity. It's too good to miss out on. But so far on the, US tech stocks, say QQQ, we're down like what, 1.2%. Is that what's gonna make you retire 10 years earlier? You buy stocks. The S&P is not moving at all. You buy stocks 1% cheaper. It's not what's moving the needle. So what I always say is I'm not doing anything if it doesn't move the needle, because I like my rhythm. I like my process. I like being very lazy, and I don't want to like append everything else and get stressed about doing something just because there's a little thing out there. So this is a 1% opportunity. So I really wouldn't bother with it, to be honest with you. I just wouldn't chase the latest thing. If you're already in oil stocks, then congratulations. We're in stuff like EXE, for example. Great, right? Just maybe tighten your stops a little bit, because if it's over quickly, then oil will come down again. If it continues to go up, nothing happens. Buy the rumor, sell the news. That's basically what we do, right? So we look at the chart and go, well, what looks like it's about to break out, and that's where we set up orders that are conditional. That's really what it is. All these day traders, they just have a tough life, and I personally think the reason people day trade is because they've been told all their life to work really hard, so they feel like they should work really hard. Now, I've got inspiration from this guy who doesn't really like to work very hard. So if I do like an hour of something or two, I feel like I've done my bit. I no longer aim to do 8, 10, 12, 16-hour days. I don't think it's productive. I don't think it's useful. So get out of that mindset. Jesse, you missed the last two. Okay, I'll see you there tomorrow. Brilliant, my friend. Anybody who's coming to join us tomorrow, anybody who wants to learn breakouts, put a B in the chat and I'll see you there tomorrow. Keep buying the stocks you believe in. Oh, I don't agree with you on that one, my friend. King Knut, it's a great name, but belief does not come into it. There is no belief system. I do not believe in any of these stocks. I own a lot of these, RTX and this one here, Mercury Systems, and this petroleum and natural gas company called EXE and a bunch of others. I have no belief in them, none whatsoever. And it isn't required. In fact, I'd encourage you to become an atheist when it comes to investing. Your private beliefs are a whole nother story. But the market is at least agnostic. So yeah, don't let beliefs come into it. It's going to cost you a lot of money. It's going to make you a bag holder. Loving all you guys there, all the bees there. To see you tomorrow. That'd be brilliant. Do you find a possibility that some people find day trading exciting? Yes, but I would encourage them to maybe take up another hobby that doesn't involve sitting on your butt on a chair and staring at screens. there is slightly more to life that is fun and exciting and satisfying than staring at charts. Hard to believe, I know. What time in the UK? It's 10 a.m. New York time, my friend. I'm sure between Google and the various chat GPTs, you'll be able to figure out what time that is in the United Kingdom. Date stocks, don't marry them. Yeah, that's a little bit more the sentiment. Just don't spread the USTDs, please, Eric. Unless you're Warren Buffett. Yeah, he doesn't do that either in reality. His average holding period is, I don't think, what is it, 4 years, 7 years, something like that. So it's a bit longer. But they go in and they buy like a huge chunk of the business and they actually get sort of management control, right? Okay, if you could go in and you'd like the stock here, whatever it is, and you could go in and you could buy 10% of the business, that's a different story than you and me who buy, you know, perhaps a couple of hundred shares. Skydivers go day trading. Yes, that's also an interesting one. What do you think about APLD? Applied Digital Corporation. It's had a breakout and it's on its second chance sort of phase. That's the way I would look at that. Like a cold shower, get in, get clean, get out. Yes, that's a good thing to do. Show us the kittens, says Michelle. They are not in here. They're not permitted in here. Oh, it's too far for them, really. They are next door. But I can show you Winston. That's the best I can do right now. Christina, thank you very much. 3 p.m. London and 4 p.m. Europe time. Felix, the Americans are touching themselves. What? What? Because of the war? Or what are you talking about? What are you talking about? I love you too. Appreciate that. Quantum, ELF, GME. Oh, gosh, you degenerates. That was actually on our buy list for a little while, but yeah, not so much, right? They're trying to become a Bitcoin treasury company, but they don't want to tell you anything about it. That's not exactly a winning strategy, I would say. VIX barely moved, and I think that's also a good observation there, my friend, that you have a major war attacking a country that wants to build a nuclear weapon, according to, you know, Israel. The market's like, yeah, it's probably going to be all right. AI is good, though. It's exciting. And I'm talking about quantum stocks. So, you know. ASML. Oh, AML. What's that? That actually looks quite good. ASML. Sometimes it's fun just typing in random tickers, right? ASML is still looking good. Still looking good. Why is it looking good? Because, my friends, and you learn that in a lot more detail if you join me tomorrow at the webinar. We did this, right? And then we broke out of that sort of a phase there. So we're quite happy. Now, pre-market, we're gapping down. Am I worried about that? No, I'm not. I'm not worried about that. If we drop below sort of here, I'd be worried about it. But that's just a little like sentimental nonsense. I do not believe that blowing up Iran is going to affect semiconductor sales. I just don't think so. Jason there. What else we got? We got a minute to the open. Okay. Let me make sure we're set up for that. So that takes a little bit of preparation over here. Make sure we are bell ready, Winston. And the CIA and the National Nuclear Control. Yes, and of course, the US. I mean, the US is basically attacking Iran. They're just letting the Israelis do it. But it, you know, of course, the US is attacking. I mean, you saw the tweets of Trump, right, today. They are basically, he's not trying to distance himself any longer from this because, you know, 2 months ago, I gave Iran a 60-day ultimatum. Today is day 61. And then he writes, it's going to get a lot worse. How does he know that? Because the US supplies the weapons and the systems and probably the satellites and a lot of the information, right? So get the bell ready. Absolutely, my friends. It is time to open the Z market, as they say, where I originally hail from. And the bell is ready. Let's see what Winston thinks of the whole thing. That's getting a bit better, isn't it? Winston seems pretty chilled about the whole thing. He's got a good attitude on life, that guy. He's like, yeah, whatever. Archer just dropped. Yes, absolutely, it did. Somebody said something about a share issue. Is that confirmed? I haven't seen that. Yeah, they did. Arch Aviation lands 850 million boost, raised 850 million new funding. How do they raise it? Oh, that's useful, isn't it? Whoever makes this website doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. We need to know how they did it. You think Business Wire knows? Okay, yeah, they sold 85 million shares at $10 per share. Now, Archer was trading at $11 when they did that, so it isn't really entirely surprising that we're now trading at $10. So, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen here with you, am I? There we go. Winston was everywhere. So, yes, so basically they've issued 85 million shares at $10. So we're now trading again at $8. Thank you, Archer. But it does mean to get the cash, if you believe they have a positive ROI on that, then it isn't really a terrible thing. But the market in the short term probably reacts to it like Winston. Look at Winston there. He's like, I had an Archer position. Did we actually, Winston? I think we just had a buy order open, right? I think he learned that from the cats, honestly. I think he's becoming a cat. He's hanging out with so many of them. Just got stopped out of Archer. Yeah, that's what happens. Iranian citizen is selling. Don't think that's little loss. Yeah, it's just what it is. It happens. Move on, you know, and find something else to buy. Stopped out of Archer with a profit. Teresa, congratulations. Brilliant. VIX up 3%. Is that it? VIX is trading below 20. Below 20 at 1947. So this is really a very moderate reaction to a war. Winston can't bear the chart. Yeah, I know. He's like, gosh. Blake, I like how inappropriate you are, Blake Colton. That's a good one. I'm not going to repeat that. I'll probably get banned. But I like it when people have a sense of humor, which is even less appropriate than mine. Occidental Petroleum, yeah, gapping up and then coming down a little bit. And I think we're probably going to see that in a lot of the gold oil stocks here. So far, the Iranian reaction seems to be somewhat muted. Our ASTS is doing well. Haha, yes, hallelujah, right? Hallelujah. That's the sort of thing we look for, right? I don't remember. What was our buy point on that? I have no idea, but it's doing well. Yeah, that was sort of one of the Elon Trump fallout beneficiaries, right? And it's really going to town on that one. Groy also, yeah, my friends, my gold friends. I mean, we have a few of these open, but yeah, it's filling the gap on the way down a little bit, but we're still up from the point where we bought it. And I mean, this is a gold stock, right? This is not something degenerate. It's up 41% in just over 3 weeks, which is pretty good. So maybe time to move stop up one more. Maybe just sort of there. That would be my thought. I'm not telling you what to do, obviously, but that would be my sort of my thought, considering that we've taken out the recent highs there. What else have we got? I know we decided Yahoo Finance. There was a bigly outage yesterday of pretty much all the cloud computing services. You might have noticed that TradeVision was also out of action because I think Google Cloud went down, Azure went down, Amazon went down, which probably had something to do with the attack on Iran, I would have thought. Of course, nobody's ever going to tell you that, but probably did. Palantir is rising. Is it? Let's have a look. And yes, it is, which makes sense. I mean, it's a pretty big defense stock, this. It's not a clean defense stock because they have a lot of private sector revenue, but it's a defense stock as well. So flirting with the all-time high close at sort of 136.50 or thereabouts. I did notice Vanguard and TradeVision down. Yeah, literally everything was down. Spotify was down. Like everything was down. So probably they thought we could blind certain people if we just turn stuff off. So they must know that, well, I don't know, maybe the Iranian Revolutionary Guard runs their systems on, Amazon Cloud or something. Who knows? All entirely possible. So yeah, they obviously switched that off. The US government is much, much deeper involved in US tech companies, I think, than anybody will ever admit. I'm sure there is some sort of deal going on there. Stocks related, semiconductors, still looking good, right? I mean, that's the teeny tiniest of dips. They're 1.7% down. So I continue to be bullish on semiconductors. I don't think anything there has really changed. NVIDIA is basically, flattish, 1.4% down, not really a big thing. So you have to say the market has really grown up, right? I mean, people are not panicking. People are not freaking out. You have a war here between a nuclear nation and a one who wants to be. And then it's in the Middle East where all the oil comes from and everything else. And, a fair few loons hang around. And the market's like, yeah, it's all right. And it tells you something about the resilience of the US stock market, I must say. So pretty happy to see that. Pretty happy to see that. What's down big today? Visa. Oh, yeah. What did they do? One of those generals spend a lot of money on his Visa card or something? Or what was going on there? Interesting. Something must have happened there. That's a 4.4% drop for Visa is very unusual. Anybody finds out, let us know. What was the other one that someone said was dropped bigly today? MasterCard. Also. So something in that payment sector. American Express. Also down. What happened in the payment sector today? Visa, MasterCard, stock. We don't always know these things. Is it that? No, it's not that. It's not the apparatchiks in Europe. Past 24 hours. Wall Street Journal says merchants are exploring stable coins. Oh, it's that thing there. Okay, yeah. People like Walmart and stuff are looking at launching their own stable coins. Yeah, in theory, they could go around them. I don't know. Might be an overreaction, but I don't like to buy falling things like that. So we'll see where it is by the end of the day. But that's basically what that is. It's the stablecoin thing. Scott's asking about Circle. Yeah, it's a bit of a bonkers chart, isn't it? I mean, Scott, you know a fair bit about reading charts by now, and it's what do you see here? So you see a monstrous rally, right? Huge rally. You then you drop a little bit, which is kind of normal. You get into this sort of exhaustion pattern, and your volume starts to disappear. So there are not that many buyers left. That's the way I would see this. So to me, the likelihood that this thing would go lower is greater than the likelihood it would go higher. But it is a crypto-related thingy. So therefore, it probably will depend on the direction of Bitcoin or something like that. But yeah, from a chart point of view, I'm not loving it. Oh yeah, Iran's said they're not going to stop building nukes. Yeah, of course, they're not going to wave the white flag, are they? So which essentially tells you what's going to have to happen here. Israel is going to have to finish the job, or the US is going to have to finish the job, because unless you really destroy their nuclear facilities, and I mean really destroy, so that you put them back 10 years, otherwise you will make them accelerate the process, because basically they now know, well, unless we got a bomb, we're going to get bombed. So they have a massive incentive to build one. I'm sure they already had it, but they have an even bigger one right now. So they have to finish the job. So the question is, how long is that going to take? Right? The longer it takes, the more it impacts oil prices, I would argue. But we'll see. I think we'll know a lot more by Monday, probably, because we'll get quite a lot of this will happen over the weekend. Why are European banks going down? Because they are mostly bankrupt, moribund, horrible institutions that shouldn't be in business. Is that the answer you were looking for? Probably not. Oklo. That wasn't a bad call, was it? Oklo. Anybody in this? Am I allowed to look at it? There we go. Yeah, that's a lovely thing, isn't it? That's a very, very lovely thing. It just keeps going up and up and up. It's only down 3% today. I wouldn't really be too concerned about that, especially looking the way the candle's looking. But at the very top end here, the dip buyers are stepping in there into Oklo. The news said 2 weeks Israel campaign. Who knows? I don't know. I guess they have to like bomb the same sites again and again and then go and check the satellites or something. I don't know. I'm still always baffled how long these things take. You would think you could do it all in one go, but apparently not. How long after IPO does a ticker get added to Trade Vision? CHYM. Depends a little bit on our data providers. So Chime, when was that? Was that today? I'll check for you. But yeah, normally it happens on the day, sometimes the next day. It depends a little bit like when the actual data providers give us the ticker, so to speak. Oklo looks like second chance. A little bit, right? It wants to. I mean, it's had a more like a third chance, right? So we kind of got bullish on it. I'm not sure why I'm using red. Somewhere around here, right? And then again here, obviously, you had a second chance there. That was your second chance, perhaps, or third. And this looks like it might want to do the same thing again. But yeah, looks pretty decent. Righty ho, my friends. We've got 3,600 people live and 580 likes. It's a touch harsh, but then yes, there is a war out there. Need more money to buy more Archer. Adobe is down. Adobe is the dinosaur in the space. I think that's ultimately the problem with it. Earnings, they must have said something that wasn't brilliant. Also only beat earnings by 1.8%, which wasn't exactly great. So it's dropping to, see that yellow line there? 50-day moving average line. People think, oh, these lines don't matter. Well, the market seems to disagree. So come and learn how that actually works tomorrow with me, and we'll teach you how to find real breakout stocks before they break out, and also how to keep the profits, because that's ultimately what matters. So come and join me. We're running a live 2-hour session on that tomorrow, felixfriends.org/seminar. Maybe an hour and a half. I'll try to. I'll do my best to be brief, but often you guys want to ask a lot of questions, so I want to allow for time for that really. How do you find stocks in the first place? There are thousands of them. Yeah. We manually go through about 8,000 stocks every morning. No, there is a shortcut to that. Sectors is the first shortcut. So we look at just the winning sectors to start with, and then we look at the winning stocks within that. So that really narrows it down. And I only do it once a week. So it's a pretty pain-free process. It's very, very quick and exceptionally profitably, at least from my point of view. Can you update us a bit on the war? Yes, there is a war. Israel is shooting at things in Iran, and they've killed about 6 scientists, a bunch of generals, blown up a few military sites, and so on. But you see, I'm not a war expert. I don't aim to be a war expert. What I'm more of an expert on is looking at the historical data and telling you that war dips are usually a good thing for us investors, and that the US economy is still there. So none of this particularly matters to us. Yes, oil, gold, defense stocks are making us very nice money. And they have been making us very nice money, and they would have made us even nice money without this going on, but it's probably likely to make us a little bit more. So what I would take it as an incentive for is to be a little bit more smartly diversified. I'm not a fan of just buying random stuff. You got to buy the stuff at the right-ish time. And there are very simple rules for that, and you can learn them. If you come and join me tomorrow, I'll teach them to you. Graham, thanks for rallying up the troops on the likes there. This is just a warm-up. There will be a lot more strikes, I can imagine. It might go on for days or weeks. I mean, Israel is permanently bombing places like Lebanon and Syria. Why not, include Iran in that? So yeah, I think this is going to go on for a while. The question is really just like, is it escalating? Is it gonna get bigger? And if it doesn't, then the market won't care, like it isn't caring that much today. And if Iran gets desperate, that's kind of the risk, right? Are they going to blow up some oil tanker or, shoot some missiles at the US Fifth Fleet in the Gulf or, stuff like that? That's what would take it to another level because, well, somebody would have to retaliate. Iran is still a major, major oil producer. And all those oil producers there, Kuwait and Iraq and Saudis and the gas guys and Qatar and all that, they're all like very, 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 very close together. So you don't really want to have a big conflict in that area. But even if we do, the market will drop a little. Our oil stocks and our gold stocks, our defense stocks will make even more money. And we're going to start buying the dip when everything else starts going up again. So it's from our point of view, it's a win-win. From the point of view of the Iranian populace, it is a lose-lose, because just because someone's Iranian doesn't mean they want to have a bomb and destroy Israel. It's just the government that they happen to inherit. And who put this government there, by the way? The Americans. Yeah, the Ayatollah was put there by the US. Does it remind you perhaps of Afghanistan or of every other conflict that the US has ever been part of? The US always puts the bad guy there first. It's a way to make the defense sector a lot of money, I think. I think that's really what's going on behind that. And Nagam says, some Lebanon with love. I appreciate that. And you have, I am told, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. I know a lot of Lebanese people. And unfortunately, you're in a dire situation there. So I hope you're well. And the Brits, the Americans did it partially to get rid of the Brits. So Persia was basically a British colony. And the Americans didn't like that too much. So they got rid of the Brits and paid and supplied the Ayatollah, right, to get rid of the Shah. So no, this is an American setup. I mean, the Brits cocked up a lot of stuff in the Middle East for sure. But Iran is an American problem. Read up on the history on that. It's an interesting one. And it happens again and again and again, right? And what's happening in Syria right now, they are arming the guy who they used to fight in Iraq, right? Which is, I'm sure, going to turn out wonderfully well. Peace for everyone in Syria, right? I'm sure that's the goal. But anyway, let's not get into politics. The defense establishment has a good handle on the thing, I'm sure. Lorenzo said it wasn't the US. Okay, look up my friend who supported the Ayatollahs. Maybe don't ask an American history book. And then Graham's taking another level there. I have no idea on that. I have no idea on that. But EU for uranium. Yes, yeah, that's a good stock, isn't it? And that's an interesting one today, that the uranium stocks were, okay, that isn't actually doing that much. But did you see this one? That was popping up this morning. It's coming back down. I thought it was an interesting one, that uranium stocks go up when Uranian facilities are being hit, but we'll see. It's still, it's doing its thing. Nothing particularly to worry about there, but it also isn't looking wonderful either. The US is in everything. Probably true. Yeah. VIX and gold play paying off. Absolutely. Yeah. Gold is just gold's been being our best friend, hasn't it? Really, the last couple of weeks. We're up something like 40% just on this one, and I've got probably 4 or 5 other gold stocks open. but how will these shallow geopolitics affect my epic gains, says Logan? Yeah, and you know what? It sounds cynical, doesn't it? But there are things you can control and there are things you can't control. I cannot control American foreign policy or Israel's or, Iran or any of that. So I don't try to spend much time on it. I just want to make sure that I live in peace and comfort and freedom. And a big part of that is having money. It just gives you opportunities. It gives you options, right? I mean, there's a gentleman here, a lady from Lebanon who joined us from Lebanon. I know a lot of Lebanese people, and most of them are not in Lebanon. Why? Because they had the money to go somewhere, right, where they were not in danger. So money gives you options, and they live very beautiful lives in other places. Are you also in the KGC? So is that the old Soviet thing? Is it? Apparently I'm a communist too. A Soviet era communist. Brilliant. Money makes sense. War makes no sense. Well, yeah, we can make money in an easier way than having to blow things up. Lebanese there in Canada. Yeah, you guys are everywhere, right? I go to the south of France. I go to London. I mean, I grew up in Hamburg in Germany. You guys were there. You guys are everywhere. Some of the funnest people in the world are Lebanese and also Persians. Also, some of the funnest people in the world. They are also everywhere. Because, well, unfortunately, you both have governments that are, not brilliant. Yeah, amazing reaction to all of this. The SPY is barely moving, which is, yeah, it's surprising. I must say, it's surprising. Now, the thing isn't over till the fat lady sings or till Winston wakes up, but so far the reaction is very muted. We're making money out of some of it, like gold, but yeah, so far. But just let's wait and see how this pans out over the next couple of days. Ex-Lebanese girlfriend. No, actually, no Lebanese girlfriend ever. I went to uni with quite a few Lebanese girls, but no girlfriend on that score. I'll try again. Steve does not believe that you've supported the Americans. All right, let me ask Grok, because Grok is one of the LLMs that's a little bit less under the paw, so to speak. Did the USA support the Ayatollahs coming to power? Did not directly support them. The US has long backed the Shah. Claims of US support often stem from a conspiracy theory or misinterpretation of diplomatic maneuvers. The US engaged in back-channel talks with them. On the other side, critics argue the US indirectly facilitated Khomeini's rise by destabilizing Iran through decades of interference because of the coup against Mohammad Mossadegh, which entrenched the Shah. Additionally, the US did not support the Shah in its final months. Okay, so I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist on that one, entirely possible. But there is no direct US backing. I was never, I guess I don't really mean direct. It's sort of like, the Taliban, right? They got indirect sort of backing, and then it became a bit more direct. Messy US policy beyond miscalculations rooted in Cold War priorities but they didn't orchestrate his ascent. Okay, all right. You are right. I'm wrong. We will probably never know quite the truth, right? But there we go. So yeah, at it again. We all get the same info, so we come to the same conclusion. And that's, of course, the problem also with like an LLM like this, right? It'll refer to official sources, right? So what are your sources? So the victor always writes history. That's just lesson, right? Declassified US government documents. What about the classified ones? Prime memoirs, primary accounts, academic. It's pretty thorough, right? Pretty thorough. And then general knowledge. Okay. Okay, it's pretty good. Grok is part of the conspiracy. That would also, of course, entirely possible. Now, we're not looking too bad here this morning. If you look at some of the big boys out there, Stocks like Nvidia are 1.4% down. The Mac 7. Here the mags are down 0.7%. The fear index VIX is up, 12%, around 20. But it's not as bad as it was. We were at 21. So the dip buyers are out there in full force. And I think that's a positive thing. None of this matters. You're quite right. None of this matters. Absolutely, it doesn't really matter one way or the other. We just care about being free ourselves, right? Isn't that what it's all about? I think that's what it's all about. I want to just feel as relaxed as this guy every day, which is, I'm pretty close to that, I'd like to think. So I hope you feel the same way. If you want to feel like that guy and just know how to buy and be in the breakout stocks before they break out, which is entirely possible, ask some of my students in the chat here, then come and learn those very rules from me tomorrow at 10 a.m. New York time. It'll be live at felixprehn.org/seminar. There is a link down below. Scott, I appreciate you tuning in, my friend. I'm glad you're doing well. Keep sticking to the rules, and everybody else who doesn't know what the rules are, come and learn them from me tomorrow. It's completely free of charge. We'll probably have about 2,000 people there or something. It'll be fun. It'll be a raw. Winston will run the show, and I wish you a beautiful day. All the best.